We begin with the fallout from the search of former President Trump's home in Florida. Federal agents found 11 boxes of highly classified material, documents a Trump lawyer told the Justice Department had already been turned over to the National Archives months ago. That's according to the New York Times. Now on Capitol Hill, Democrat and Republican lawmakers are demanding to see those documents and pressing the Biden administration for a damage assessment. It comes as the FBI and Department of Homeland Security warn of a spike in threats against federal law enforcement officials 1 week after the search. NBC News Justice reporter Ryan Riley's been following it all, and he joins us now. Ryan, good morning. So let's start with those threats to law enforcement coming from some Trump supporters. What are the FBI and DHS saying?
They're really worried about the volume of threats here, and sort of it's a parallel to what we saw with January 6th, where everyone believes these claims that are being made about the FBI in this case, that some segment of individuals who believe that are actually going to take some action. So that's essentially what they're worried about here. We've seen an uptick in threats, and especially since the Trump team released the document, and said that the journalists and then some individuals, including Breitbart, published the names of the actual agents who were involved in the search and who signed off on it. So that's become a real issue about those individuals who are being targeted, as well as just more general threats about the FBI in general, Savannah.
Brian, I also mentioned this bipartisan push on Capitol Hill to find out what was in those classified documents and then the potential risk to national security that comes from whatever those documents were. What's the latest there? Do we know if we'll find out what those documents were?
Lawmakers do have some powers to look at that, because they work on the intelligence committees. I think there's obviously disparate interests why individuals are interested in the underlying materials here. On the Republican side, it's going to be downplay this. On the Democratic side, obviously, they're going to want to highlight what threat this was to national security. I think, we can look overall that the DOJ's top priority here was actually getting access, retaining those records and getting those back. But of course, all of these records were supposed to be kept, regardless of the classification level. Under the Presidential Records Act, these were supposed to be in possession of the government. They're not Trump's documents. They're the government's documents. And this was an act that we saw following the presidency of Richard Nixon that was passed to make sure that, for future generations, all of these records would be retained. Now, a lot of presidents have those in some sort of presidential library, but all of that is controlled by the National Archives. And essentially, Trump had blown off the National Archives, and even though they were trying to obtain these documents for so long, then of course retained these even after the lawyer for the Trumps informed the FBI that all of these had been sort of sent back. So after that initial search warrant, they still retained all of these records, and that's sort of why we ultimately saw the sort of historic search that we did warrant be executed on the president's estate in Mar-a-Lago, Savannah.
Yeah, and I know that we also here at NBC News have some new reporting on exactly how Trump and his team handled documents as they were leaving the White House, which is, of course, what started all this, what led to the FBI search. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's interesting because what NBC News has reported is essentially that Trump was so convinced about these lies about the 2020 election that he actually thought he was going to stay in office. So there was sort of this haphazard last-minute effort to throw all of these together. And, a lot of the so-called adults in the room were gone at this point, right? Like you had a lot of, if you imagine who was still around after January 6th and going into January 20th, it's not necessarily the best people that Trump had in his orbit. So there was a lot of just disorganization and dysfunction happening at that time. And there really just should have been someone in place to recognize that all of these records were not Trump's to keep. That's been the impression that he's given to a lot of folks in his circle, is that he thinks that these are his documents, and they're just not, regardless of the classification level. These are the people's documents. These were government documents that should be archived in some way and available to future historians, even the stuff that is not classified. So that's sort of the bigger issue here is not only the classification, which of course is the Justice Department's priority to get those back because of the threats to national security, but more broadly, all these records weren't supposed to just sit in his estate somewhere. They were supposed to be available more broadly to the American people. There are a lot of laws in place in terms of when these documents would be available down the line for scholars to look at. A lot of them have several decades out is when the actual documents would become public, but that's all supposed to be done through this formal process of that.
All right, Ryan Riley, thank you so much for getting us started this morning. And now on Meet the Press this weekend, Senator Amy Klobuchar discussed the political fallout from that unsealed search warrant for Mar-a-Lago. Here are some of the highlights.
So let me ask you, what is your reaction to what was found in Mar-a-Lago, the search warrant, and of course, the boxes of material, including classified material?
This is very serious, Andrea, and my first reaction is to stand with the men and women of the FBI who are simply doing their jobs. What was found in Mar-a-Lago, we don't know exactly what's in those documents, but what we do know is it rose to the level of a search warrant that a federal judge approved. Another one was that you can't destroy federal documents, or you can't take federal documents out of secure locations. As a senator, I know when I look at the classified documents, I've got to go in a special room, Andrea. I can't even wear my Fitbit. You can't bring staff with you. That's why it is so important that these documents remain in safe locations. And Mar-a-Lago, where you can check out croquet sets and tennis rackets and golf clubs, that's not one of them.
Let me ask you about some of the outrage from elected Republicans. Some have called for civil war. Some have said attack the FBI. Some of your own colleagues have had very strong rhetoric. What do you think?
This concerns me so much, Andrea. We already saw from the insurrection the effect that Donald Trump's language, that he has so many people out there that will just follow him, and he feeds on that, and he sends out messages to them. Look at what just happened in Cincinnati. This is the kind of things that result when you've got a president that attacks law enforcement and attacks the law. I thought in the old days the Republican Party used to stand with law enforcement, and I hope some of them do today, because this kind of rhetoric is very dangerous to our country.
Earlier this week, you said that the FBI search must be justified and that you had serious questions about the integrity of the Justice Department. Having seen what they retrieved, including all these classified documents, had that answered your questions about the need for them to go in?
This is a change, and this is something that will go down in history, and it'll be studied for years to come. But in the meantime, I think most Republicans would prefer to look right now with the 2022 midterms coming up. We'd much prefer to focus on what the policies are right now that are hurting our economy. Given
that they did take all of this material, boxes of material and classified documents as well, and given how casual he was about securing documents, that's been well established when he was president, do you think that should disqualify him from being president again? And would you vote for him if he runs?
I'll keep my powder dry with regards to your last question. I think right now we're going to focus on the 2022 election.
Our thanks to Andrea Mitchell for that. Now, when federal agents entered former President Trump's Florida home with that search and seize warrant, the backlash was almost instantaneous. Trump supporters gathering near Mar-a-Lago have been furious with calls to defund the FBI. Some of the former president's Republican allies in Congress are also lashing out. All of this is fueling concerns of more violence. NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard examines not only how things got so broken, but where we go next.
FBI agents searching Mar-a-Lago, former President Trump's beloved Florida estate, what he called the Southern White House.
For the first time in American history, the FBI has conducted a search at the home of a former president of the United States.
The outrage in the wake of the search was swift.
This is going to absolutely enrage the country.
The way our federal government has gone, it's like what we thought about the Gestapo and people like that they just go after people.
Days later,
male subject attempted to gain entry into the FBI field office.
An armed man tried to break into an FBI office in Cincinnati, Ohio, with an AR-15 in hand. America is struggling with anger and discontent.
Our biggest threat remains the sick, sinister, and evil people from within our country.
Key institutions under fire, both on the left.
It feels like a betrayal. It feels like my country doesn't love me.
And on the right, especially in the wake of the Mar-a-Lago search.
This country was stolen to a bunch of fascists.
Ben Collins tracks online hate and domestic extremism for NBC News. He says some Trump supporters are ready to take up arms.
They're constantly saying they're waiting for the word go from somebody like Donald Trump. These people see their country slipping away, they believe, and they think they have no choice but to act.
Similar threats emerged in the days ahead of January 6th.
Why do the politically aggrieved turn to violence?
There's this view that, well, take up your guns. I mean, we're seeing this online, that this is the last resort. You are losing your country. These are the types of phrases we see again and again and again online, and then echoed either explicitly or implicitly by political leaders.
A survey released just last month, stunning, finding that half of all Americans expect a civil war in the next few years. The president who helped hold America together during the last Civil War, Abraham Lincoln, famously warned that a house divided against itself cannot stand. Presidential historian Michael Beschloss fears a different sort of conflict ahead on America's streets.
I don't think we're going to see two sections of the country fighting one another with armies, but what we might see is something else, and that is outbreaks of violence against federal installations like the FBI and other federal institutions that mount and mount so that there is violence in the streets.
How does America reverse course?
Americans must see that violence and division are something that is outside the American tradition and will not make anyone's life better. But the lesson of American history is that we have always gotten through moments like this, and Americans have come back together again.
A government of the people, by the people, for the people, now suspect to many of its people.
That was Vaughn Hilliard reporting. And as far as the uptick in violence, the head of the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Union called the increased threats to law enforcement unprecedented. Attorney General Merrick Garland made it clear he would not stand for what he called unfounded attacks on the professionalism of the FBI and the DOJ. And turning now to some frightening scenes in our nation's capital over the weekend. Capitol Police say a 29-year-old man crashed his car into a barricade near the Supreme Court Sunday morning and opened fire. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Rafa has the latest.
D.C. law enforcement on high alert. Capitol Police say 29-year-old Delaware resident Richard York killed himself after plowing his car into a Capitol barricade early Sunday morning.
Responsible for the explosion heard near 318 East Capitol Street, Northeast.
The chilling aftermath revealed after sunrise.
You can still see the scorch marks where this car erupted into flames at this then unmanned barricade between the Library of Congress and Supreme Court, just yards away from several homes. That's when the driver started walking down this block towards the Capitol while firing a handgun into the air. Officials say they approached him as he was walking onto the Capitol grounds, and that's when they say he shot himself.
No U.S. Capitol police officer took any shots, fired their weapons. No one else was injured.
The Capitol Police Chief adding lawmakers may be back home on August recess, but his officers are working at full capacity, on heightened alert because of the recent rise in threats on law enforcement.
We do know that the subject has a criminal history over the past 10 years or so, but nothing that at this point would link him to anything here at the Capitol.
Our thanks to Ali Rafa for that report. Now, Emmy award-winning actress Anne Heche has officially passed away days after being declared legally dead following a high-speed car crash. Heche was an organ donor and had remained on life support until recipients could be identified. Several of her peers reacted to the news, including the 53-year-old's ex-partner and Men in Trees co-star James Tepper, who wrote, "We love you" in a post on Instagram. The actress is best known for her roles in Psycho, Danny Brasco, and the remake of 6 Days, 7 Nights. And now we turn to a heartbreaking story out of Pennsylvania. Police say a driver plowed into a crowd at a local restaurant that was gathered there for a fundraiser for the victims of a deadly house fire, killing one person and injuring 17 others. They say he then returned home where he killed his mother. NBC News correspondent George Solis joins us now from Danville, Pennsylvania with the very latest. George, good morning. Good to see you. So first, it's important to note that this suspect has confessed to all this. And I also know that some reporters caught him as he was being taken into custody. First, let's listen to that.
Comment, sir.
So just saying there, I'm sorry, as you could faintly hear. Are there any updates, first of all, about the people who were injured at the fundraiser?
Yeah, and we expect an update from hospital officials today. We know that 5 people now were critically injured as a result of this terrible tragedy. Some good news, a silver lining in some of this. We know that some of those people that were treated at other area hospitals were released and have been able to go home. But when you think about what some of these people witnessed at this fundraiser for the neighboring town, the trauma of this is going to weigh heavy on a lot of people in this community. They witnessed as this man drove his car into a crowd of people, injuring many of their friends, their neighbors. This is gonna linger on this community for some time. Then, as we mentioned, drove his car, took it to his home, and then allegedly used it to run over his mother and then beat her with a hammer. This is truthfully some harrowing stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. That attack apparently also he detailed for police, in fact. Now, police say the suspect was angry about an argument with his mother. They think that's potentially what sort of kicked this off. We also learned that there are some new court documents released about the suspect with some more information. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, Savannah, and they truthfully paint a harrowing picture of how this all played out. So authorities sat down with the suspect after he was taken into custody, and he apparently tells them that he was really frustrated. He actually drove past this scene, made a conscious decision to turn around and target this crowd, telling authorities in these court documents, quote, "I didn't ram them, I just ran them over." So then he does this crime. He says he actually sped up as he saw this crowd of people, and they have some surveillance video that apparently corroborates this, watching him speed up, target this crowd of people. Then he leaves that scene, as you mentioned, goes home, sees his mother on the street, then allegedly runs her over, finds a hammer in the car, and then assaults her mother, beating her. Neighbor reportedly also witnessing this terrible crime. He then tells authorities, and again, this is in the court documents, telling them he was tired of fighting with his mother, including about the money, and he wanted to be done with it. Chilling, truthfully chilling.
Yeah, it really is. All right, George Solis, thank you so much. Now, it's another big week in U.S. politics. Tomorrow is primary day in Alaska and Wyoming, 2 states with prominent Republican critics of former President Trump on the ballot, each facing a very different political reality. NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray joins us now. Hey, Mark, good morning. Happy to have you with us. So let's start in Wyoming. This is, of course, a big name, Congresswoman Liz Cheney. She's fighting to keep her seat from a Trump-backed primary challenger. Now, she's obviously become one of the former president's biggest targets in recent months, not only for voting to impeach him, but then, of course, for her role leading the House January 6th investigation as well. How is this looking for her?
She remains the very big underdog in this contest, Savannah. There was a poll that was taken last month showing that Liz Cheney trails her challenger, Harriet Hageman, by more than 20 percentage points. And also the poll ended up finding that Liz Cheney's approval rating in Wyoming was in the 20s, which is just terrible situation for an incumbent to be in. And we are probably going to end up seeing independents and Democrats being able to vote for her in this Republican primary. You can end up changing your voter registration information to participate. But still, we don't lose sight of the fact of just how Republican the state of Wyoming is. This was a state that ended up voting for Donald Trump over Joe Biden by more than 40 percentage points in 2020. So tomorrow, Liz Cheney is the very big underdog in this contest.
Now let's talk about Alaska. Another Republican who voted to impeach the former president, that's Senator Lisa Murkowski. She's facing a whopping 18 challengers from both parties. Now, there's a little wonkiness to this here. It's because Alaska has some new election rules. Actually, it includes an open primary. So could you break down just what this new format means for Murkowski and how things are looking for her?
Yeah, let me break down this wonky primary system that Alaska ends up having, Savannah. And it's a top 4 primary system in which the top 4 candidates, regardless of party, end up advancing to the general election. And so among those 18, you go from 18 then down to 4. And the purpose sometimes for these top 4 primaries is that it forces candidates to have crossover appeal. That not only do you just have to be able to win over Republican primary voters, for example, example, but you also have to win over Democrats or people in the middle. And this is one of the things that probably is going to end up benefiting Lisa Murkowski a lot more than we'll end up seeing from Liz Cheney, because in Liz Cheney, you're just seeing Republicans vote in the Republican primary, obviously with some Democrats and independents being able to also participate. But in Alaska, everybody gets to participate in the top 4 vote getters, regardless of party, advance to the general election.
Mark, finally, there's also the race to replace the late Republican Congressman Don Young. He held the state's only House seat for 49 years. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, when I told you about a top 4 primary system then going to the general election, in this special congressional election in Alaska that we're getting tomorrow, this is the general election. You end up having a top 4 that ended up advancing after the primary. It got reduced to a top 3 after one of the candidates ended up pulling out. And Sarah Palin, the former Alaska Republican governor, is one of the candidates in this contest. Also, you end up having Nick Begich III, who comes from a famous political family in the state. And a Democratic candidate as well. And what is really interesting here, Savannah, is when you go from this kind of top 4 or top 3 primary system to the general election, this also ends up getting decided by ranked choice voting. And so when we talk about crossover appeal, can someone end up being not only the number 1 pick, but maybe also the number 2 pick? That could be the difference between winning and losing. And so this wonky system in Alaska is going to be a must watch for a lot of us political nerds who love this type of wonkery.
And we can't wait for you to be here to break it down for us. Mark Murray, thank you so much. Lots to watch for. Now let's get you a check at the weather. And it looks like it's actually going to be a soggy start to the week for millions. Michelle Grossman joins us now. Hey, Michelle, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. Yeah, we have a soggy start for many. Also heating up in the southern plains, the west coast. We have 2 major weather headlines this week. So we're going to start with the soggy side because we're looking at several storm systems bringing that rain. First, the monsoon rain continues in the southwest. We have tropical rain in parts of Texas. We're seeing heavy rain falling right now. And then we have a system that's going to bring some rain into the plains, watching the threat for severe weather in portions of the Carolinas. So first, starting in Texas, we had a soggy day yesterday with that tropical moisture moving in. Never quite made it to a tropical storm or tropical depression, but still brought in a lot of rain into portions of southern Texas. And we're going to see that continuing throughout Tuesday into portions of southwest Texas, also western Texas, where we could see locally 4 inches or more, especially where you see those darker colors. Then a little further to the north, we are looking at rain falling southwest, in the southwest and northern Rockies. That's from that monsoon moisture. That's going to continue this week as well. And that's going to pick up as we head throughout the afternoon hours. It's sort of driven by the sunshine, and that's what we're going to see this afternoon once again. And also seeing some rain from Sioux Falls, Omaha, Kansas City down to Springfield. Again, we could see locally 3 inches or greater, and that's going to move off to the east as we head towards tomorrow. We're concerned about severe weather as well. A couple spots in the northern plains, parts of the central plains, and also into the Carolinas where you see that yellow. That's the likeliest spot for severe weather. We could see winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour. Could see some hail as well in portions of the Carolinas, especially North Carolina and parts of South Carolina. So as we go throughout tomorrow, we're going to see that persistent rain continuing for the Four Corners. That's going to continue on Wednesday as well. And then a flood threat once again in Missouri with 3 inches or more possible of rain. And we're going to continue to watch that throughout the early part of this week. Watching the southern plains heat up once again from Oklahoma into Mississippi, Louisiana. And we're going to see heat indices 105, 110, but that's about 5 to 10 degrees above what is typical for this time of year, and we end up later on this afternoon. So this is a temperature contrast so pleasant in the Northeast. We had a beautiful weekend, picture perfect. Today we're going to see temperatures 15 degrees below what is typical for this time of year, in the 70s in D.C., 75 degrees today in Pittsburgh. But notice back to the west and parts of the plain, we're looking at temperatures into the triple digits. Savannah today it's going to be 102 in Wichita. We're going to see that heat continuing tomorrow, and we're also going to see parts of the West Coast heat up starting tomorrow as well.
All right. As always, a lot going on. Michelle Grossman, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.